On that day, 7 women will grab hold of one man and say, "Will you supply our own food and wear our own clothes? Just let us bear your name. Take away our disgrace." On that day, Adonai's plant will be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the land will be the pride and splendor of Israel's survivors. Those left in Zion and remaining in Jerusalem will be called holy, and everyone in Jerusalem written down for life. When Adonai washes away the filth of the women of Zion and cleanses Jerusalem from the bloodshed in it, and will blast of searing judgment, Adonai will create over the whole site of Mount Zion and over those who assemble there a smoking cloud by day and a shining flaming fire by night. For the glory will be over everything like a huppah. A sukkah will give shade by day from the heat, and it will also provide refuge and cover from a storm and rain. I will sing a song for someone I love, a song about my loved one and his vineyard. My loved one had a vineyard on a very fertile hill. He dug up stones and cleared them away, planted it with a choice of vines, built a watchtower in the middle of it, and carved out in its rocks a winepress. He expected it to produce grapes, but it produced only sour, wild grapes. Now, citizens of Jerusalem and people of Yehuda, judge between me and my vineyard. What more could I have done for my vineyard that I haven't already done in it? So why, when I expected good grapes, did it produce sour, wild grapes? Now come, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will remove its hedge, and its grapes will be eaten up. I will break through its fence, and its vines will be trampled down. I will let it go to waste. It will be neither pruned nor hoed, but overgrown with briars and thorns. I will also order the clouds not to rain fall on it. Now the vineyard of Adonai Svaot is the house of Israel, and the men of Yehuda are the plant he delighted in. So he expected justice, but looked bloodshed, and righteousness, but listen, cries of distress. Woe to those who add house to house and join field to field, until there's no room for anyone else, and you live in splendor alone on your land. Adonai Svaot said in my ears, many houses will be brought to ruin, large, magnificent ones left empty. For a 10-acre vineyard will produce only 5 gallons of wine, and a seed 5 bushels of grain will yield but a half a bushel. Woe to those who get up early and pursue intoxicating liquor, who stay up late at night until wine inflames them. They have lutes and lyres, drums and flutes, and wine at their parties, but they pay no attention to how Adonai works, and never look at what his hands have made. For such lack of knowledge my people go into exile. This is also why their respected men starve and their masses are parched from thirst. Therefore Sheol has enlarged itself and opened its limitless jaws, and down go their nobles and masses, along with their nose and revels. The masses are lowered, the nobles are humbled, proud looks will be brought down. But Adonai Svaot is exalted through justice. God, the Holy One, is consecrated through righteousness. Then lambs will be able to feed as if they were in their own pasture, and those wandering through will eat from their ruined fields of the overfed. Woe to those who begin by pulling at transgression with a thread, but end by dragging sin along as if it were a cart rope. They say, we want God to speed up his work, to hurry it along so we can see it. We want the Holy One of Israel plan to come true right now so we can be sure of it. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who change darkness into light and light into darkness, who change bitter into sweet and sweet into bitter. Woe to those seeing themselves as wise, esteeming themselves as clever. Woe to those who are heroes at drinking wine, men whose power goes to mixing strong drinks, who acquit the guilty for bribes, who deny justice for the righteous. Therefore, as fire licks up the stubble, and the chaff is consumed in the flame, so their root will rot, and their flowers scatter like dust, because they have rejected the Torah of Adonai Svaot. They have despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. This is why Adonai's anger blazed up against his people, why he stretched out his hand against them and struck them so hard that the hills shook and corpses lay like trash in the streets. Even after this, his anger remains. His upraised hand still threatens. He will give a signal to faraway nations. He will whistle for them to come from the ends of the earth. And here they come, so fast. None of them tired or stumbling, none of them sleeping or drowsy, none with a loose belt, none with a broken sandal strap. Their arrows are sharp, all their bows are strung, their horses' hoofs are like flint, and their chariot wheels like a whirlwind. They will roar like lions, yes, roaring like young lions. They growl and seize the prey and carry it off, and no one to rescue. On that day they will growl at them like the sea when it growls. And when one looks toward the land, one sees darkness closing in. The light is dissipated in the obscuring overcast. In the year of King Uzziah's death, I saw Adonai sitting on a high, lofty throne. The hem of his robe filled the temple. Seraphim stood over him, each with 6 wings. 2 for covering his face, 2 for covering his feet, and 2 for flying. They were crying out to each other, "More holy than the holiest holiness is Adonai Svaot. The whole earth is filled with his glory." The doorpost shook at the sound of their shouting, and the house was filled with smoke. Then I said, "Woe to me! I too am doomed, because I, a man with unclean lips, living among the people with unclean lips, have seen with my own eyes the King Adonai Svaot." One of the Seraphim flew to me with a growling coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from the altar. He touched my mouth with it and said, "Here, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is gone. Your sin is atoned for." And I heard the voice of Adonai saying, "Whom shall I send? Who will go for us?" I answered, "I'm here. Send me." He said, "Go and tell this people." Yes, you hear, but you don't understand. You certainly see, but you don't get the point. Make the heart of this people sluggish with fat. Stop up their ears and shut their eyes. Otherwise, seeing with their eyes and hearing with their ears, they'll understand with their hearts, they might repent and be healed. I asked Adonai, "How long?" And he answered, "Until cities become uninhabited ruins, houses without human presence, the land utterly wasted, until Adonai drives the people far away and the land is one vast desolation. If even 1/10 of the people remain, it will again be devoured. But like a pistachio tree or an oak whose trunk remains alive after its leaves fall off, the holy seed will be in its trunk.